Hello. The building over there is an abandoned Shari restaurant in Roseburg, Oregon. So let's take a look at it. Shari again. Shari, show me what I mean up there. As far as you know, this restaurant has been closed since September 2024. Too bad. See what the inside looks like. Interesting vestibule setup. In this building is quite different from the typical hexagonal ones. Instead, it uses standard restaurant box style like the others. I want to say this building was built in 2007. They never remodeled this place sometimes in 2016. Basically, this location lasted 17 years of operation. Too bad they couldn't make it to 20. The whole power is shut off. Hate the fact that most of the shades are covering the windows. So annoying, haha. You can somewhat see the dining area. Wish some of the lights were turned on. It would have been so much better to see the inside then. By the way, there are a few Shari's buildings elsewhere that have the exact same setup as this one. I know there's one in Dallas, Oregon, which is no longer in business, and two in Idaho, and Moscow and Idaho Falls. Both of them are out of business as well. The three of them were built in the late 2000s. If Shari had been doing well many years ago, there's a good chance they could have used this modern building model to expand and into other cities. It's unfortunate that the restaurant company was bought by a poor private equity firm several times over the years. Why does bad private equity exist? It just doesn't make sense at all. The worst thing is that Shari's former CEO, Samuel Borgese, purposely destroyed the brand just to gain profits. He and his executive team didn't care about the restaurant employees or the locations. It's no wonder the majority of businesses are closing nowadays. Sad times we're living in right now, especially with prices going up, which is not a surprise. Hard to believe that all 42 Shari restaurants in Oregon are gone. I know there used to be 3 more, but they closed years and years ago. Aside from that, there are several more Shari's outside of Oregon, such as the ones in Washington, Idaho, and California. They are still struggling to this day, even though they were bought again by a new private equity firm. Who knows how long they will last. It would be kinda surprising if they make it to 2026. Just like Kmart and Sears, there are now very few of them left compared to before. I remember those two stores very well. By the way, I remember seeing this Shari a few times years ago while passing by on the highway. I thought they were in a good location, considering it's right next to the freeway. As a matter of fact, I actually came to check out this vacant Shari back in October 2024. I found the place at night, and there was a sign above the entrance before it was removed. Looking at my unedited footage, I wasn't very impressed because it was too dark and whatnot. So I decided to come back during the day to see the inside better in the sunlight. I deleted the old videos and refocused on this one. At least I'm grateful that I am redoing the whole video project right now. Anyway, I have been hearing that Elmer's restaurant is planning to take over this whole Shari site. I heard they closed the original restaurant here in Roseburg a while back because the owner was retiring and the redevelopment of the building as well. The owner had initially planned to renovate the building, but the plan unfortunately fell through. I wonder if the owner had renovated, this whole Shari probably would have stayed vacant for a while. Here's the door. We're gonna check the old video poker room. You can barely see the room. It's no secret that the Oregon lottery owes Shari's over $100,000 in unpaid debt. This room would have had 6 slot machines back then. In Oregon, restaurants are allowed to offer gambling services through the Oregon lottery. I believe Shari started offering lottery services at other Oregon locations in the early 2000s, or maybe in the late 90s. Could be wrong though. The gate appears to be closed, preventing anyone from going into the back of the building. Anyway, I was able to slide through the small gap between the building and the fence. We're officially in the back building. Just the dumpster used to be here too. Another gate over there is closed too. Here what the kitchen looks like. Looks like this section here is the employee break area. Nothing chairs. The middle door on the left is the freezer room. The ladder goes up to the roof. You can see a dining table over there too. The AC cover on the right is leaning against the wall. Not sure why, but whatever. Here the kitchen door peephole. The kitchen is obviously dark. You can see chairs through the head. Jesus Christ, there are a lot of litters everywhere here. This is absolutely not bueno. People just don't show respect for the environment. Seriously. The world has gone crazy in general. Got another exit door on the left side. You can see some mini black fences in certain areas of the building. That had to be the old patio for the outdoor dining area. More door over here too. The bathroom should have been on the left. I noticed most of the bed ceilings has been lifted up. Guess there are some files beneath the ceilings. Of course, I have seen something similar when exploring other former series in the past. Thought that was strange, but oh well. It's like those files are tucked away in secret spots and customers don't even realize they're right there. You get what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if there's enough space in the manager's office, if I had to guess. There weren't a lot of Shari restaurants in Southern Oregon compared to the Portland area. I know the only ones were in Grants Pass, Central Point, and Medford. I also find it kinda surprising that there is never a Shari in Klamath Falls, which is only about an hour and a half east of Medford. There are several restaurant chains and well-known stores in the city. I wonder if Shari ever considered opening a location in Klamath Falls back in the day. Maybe they might have considered it in the 90s or the 2000s. If Shari's had opened in Klamath Falls, they probably would have gone out of business anyway. That would have clearly been the 46th location. I know Shari has been closing several locations outside of Oregon over the past few years. Even though there used to be a lot of them in the Pacific Northwest, it was rare to see any of them go out of business back then. Most of them were torn down and only a few were reused. It honestly sucks to see them get demolished. You can see the restroom signs hanging. Oh, I forgot to mention that I actually went inside the Shari restaurant box-style location in the Dalles when it was opened back in 2019. It was just like other typical restaurant chain interiors, but the inside was fairly large, unlike the hexagonal locations. From what I remember, the place wasn't busy at all, and I was able to get breakfast quickly with no problems. I have said a few times in other vacant Shari videos, I just wish the restaurant company was still doing well. The majority of them were open 24 hours, but they stopped doing that during the COVID era. That's when they began to struggle badly, and fewer people started coming in. Then years later, it got worse, and the staffing got slow service, and the food portions became smaller. I had that experience at my old Shari back in 2023. It was frustrating, but I felt sorry for the workers who had to go with multiple tasks. On the other hand, my breakfast was good. I miss Shari and often find myself thinking about it. I never imagined that most of them would eventually be gone. That's just how it is in life, sadly. I think Elmer's really well once they took over the space, since they seem to be popular. I haven't had Elmer's since the early 2016. The breakfast I had was bad. My scrambled eggs weren't good enough, but the pancakes were fine, I believe. Don't know if I should try them one day again. You can see the pie display case over there. There's a pie I left behind as well. Insane. There was an Oregon lottery sign. And that'll be it. That's checking out the video. Make sure to like, comment, and share. Thanks for watching, and until next time, see you in the other side.